This is the new Aston Martin Valkyrie, and it's the closest thing you'll get to a Formula One car for the road. And I'm here at the Bahrain Formula One circuit to test drive it because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow. Though today I feel more like Fernando Alonso. Anyway, let's go, let's get in it. This is going to be epic. Oh, just got to get in it. Maybe not so much Fernando Alonso. Buy, sell, car wow. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, the Aston Martin Valkyrie looks very, very luxurious and comfortable and extremely practical. It's because I'm actually in a DBX 707. So I'm going to go out in this first to learn the track and also give me a reference point about what a high performance SUV can do out here. And then we'll jump into the crazy Valkyrie. So let's go. So we've got a 4-litre twin-turbo V8, which puts out 707 horsepower and 900 newton meters of torque. So it's got less horsepower and less maximum torque than the Valkyrie. Weighs 2.2 tons, which is about a ton more than the Valkyrie. Still going great guns out here though, really impressed by it. So come on, where does this circuit go? Oh, it goes over there. Whoa, hold on the brakes, Matt, hold on the brakes. I've also got a fly in here with me, which is slightly distracting. Come on, wait, go on. Oh, the power. Go away, fly! I'm not qualified to do passenger rides. Oh wow, this thing is doing well, and this track is amazing. Well, I've learnt it enough to go in the £2.5 million Valkyrie without crashing it. Oh, the jeopardy is real. Okay, that's one lap in the DBX. Let's step it up a notch. I'm here with Miles Nernberger. Miles is the design director at Aston Martin. He's responsible for the look of this beautiful car. Well, I say you're responsible for it, but so too is Adrian Newey from Red Bull Formula One, who designs all their winning race cars, right?
Yeah.
And there's two elements to the design of this. There's the aero element, then there's the look itself, which you're more involved in. Isn't that correct?
It is, yeah. The real trick with this car was combining those two things together. So Adrian's aero concept and making sure it still looked, felt like an Aston Martin. And obviously we had to push the boundaries quite a lot on that because we normally make front engine cars and this is something very, very different.
It is very different. So let's start off by talking through that aero.
I'll do my best. Sorry, Adrian, for the explanation. The way they will look at a car in F1 is from front to back. So they're thinking about what the air does here and what do I need to do when I get to the back of the car. So, I mean, obviously starting on the front wing, you've got 4 elements to the front wing. Top element is active, but actually all the bodywork is actually wing shaped and is actually generating downforce. So normally you've got a bonnet of a car. It doesn't generate downforce or do anything.
It hides the engine.
Yeah. But this one does, and that's why there's that massive hole
there.
If you don't have that hole, the air stagnates, it can't do what it needs to do. So that hole basically lets the system breathe. And at first we were like, oh dear God, there's a
big hole there.
There's a big hole there. But actually you soon realise, how cool is it? You can see that F1-like suspension, and you can see the wheel as well. So when you're in the car, in the cockpit, it is really unique, the view out of the car.
And once the air's in there, what's happening? Obviously the wheel's spinning, so it's going to disrupt the airflow.
So it disrupts the airflow. So imagine it's almost like a massive motor, and basically you get dirty air off.
We don't want dirty air.
You don't want dirty air. It's turbulent. So that fin on the side that you see there basically separates.
All right, so the dirty air gets jettisoned out the side.
Yep.
The good and it's like smooth air goes more on the inside.
Importantly, in there to feed the radiators and cool the car.
So in there?
Yeah. The other bit of air that's coming through there is actually going into the diffuser.
Oh, under there? Yeah. So I was splitting it again.
Yeah. Then you've got another vortex generator on the side.
So what a vortex is spinning air, right?
The best way to explain is the tube basically encourages the air to spin.
And why do you want spinning air?
There's two things. One is, again, controlling rear tyre weight, the dirty air off the rear tyre. The other one is air either wants to roll under the car and disturb the diffuser, or the other way round, and that'll depend on the particular speed or state of the airflow at a given time. So that basically helps seal the car and make sure the flow is always stable. And if you look at modern F1 aero, all the barge boards, that's what they're doing. They're creating basically invisible walls controlling the direction and flow regimes of the air around the car.
So what's happening at the back? Just from a visual perspective, this does look amazing.
You can crawl in if you want, but
you can literally, you can actually crawl underneath the car. If I lost a bit of weight, I'll get all the way under there.
So diffusers obviously working very hard. There's vortices generated at the front of the car that travel
All the way.
whole length of the car, basically. And there's little bits like elements on the side here.
Yep.
And again, controlling the rear tyre and basically keeping that area clean and generating all the downforce.
And you've got some flaps actually underneath there as well.
Yeah.
Those are open and close to do what?
It can generate so much downforce, it would or could overpower its tyres basically by generating.
Ah, okay. So they're like a release valve.
So they're release valves basically. With downforce comes drag, and so to get the top speed, you can just bleed that off. You come to a corner, they close, you get the grip back.
And that brings us on to this wing, because it can pop up and then go flat, can't it? Depending
so
on
it's
whether
like DRS in F1.
Right, and that's basically in like what a very short space of time.
Yeah.
All the aero explained. So that's Adrian knew his job done. Dead easy. Now let's talk about the difficult bit, making a car look beautiful, which you have done here.
Yeah, and it was how do you get the beautiful, elegant forms that you know from an Aston Martin? So obviously these haunches are very, very important on the car. The four haunches, almost like cat-like. Mm-hmm. Part of the way we described it is everything you see here in the car now, everything green is formed by nature. So it's almost like a beautiful pebble worked in the water and has that real elegance to it. And anything that's carbon, that's black, that's sort of below the waterline, as we described it, is controlling nature. So that really gives you sort of this aero story, formed by nature, controlling nature.
That's design mumbo jumbo.
There you go. There you go.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Are there any things that were really tricky to do on this car?
Everything was difficult. So, you can take the stoplight on the back of the car here.
That little thing there.
It's
just like a little bit of plastic.
Yeah, so a normal one's like this and like this, and the package of it is
and you need that.
You must have that.
For a road
you
car.
must have that. You must have a high-mounted stop lamp on a road car. So that is about 6.5 millimeters across. We could have made it 1.5 millimeters smaller, but you can't get the EU homologation stamp. But it is the world's smallest stoplight. And the same here. That tiny blip there.
What is that?
Is to illuminate the rear number plate. And again, there's a legal requirement. You must illuminate the number plate this many lumens of light. And that
the smallest you could do it.
Smallest and of course lightest. Wing mirrors were very tricky. Basically to sit the occupant really down into the car and get these wheels where you wanted them. You couldn't actually place a wing mirror in a legal position to see behind you correctly.
So you couldn't put it here?
No, you couldn't here because basically your forward vision would have been illegal. The only solution in the end was cameras. So we've got these cool little pods here in the side of the car, and you've got two screens inside to show you what's going on. Another great one is the windscreen wiper and the windscreen itself.
So this big single windscreen wiper with the carbon fibre arm?
Yeah, Adrian wanted a teardrop cabin because of course very, very good for aero. So this is actually operates on two axes and actually rotates around the screen with the blade always sort of saying perpendicular.
So it rocks like that?
It rocks like that, and it's basically designed by people who did the one for the space shuttle.
So you couldn't just go into Halford to go, well, I like that one. No. You have to call it the people who built the space shuttle.
And it took us about a year to actually solve that problem of how to meet that legal requirement. And of course, the final one was the badge. Our badge is a 6 millimeters.
It sticks quite proud, isn't it? Really nice.
All 6 millimeters. But of course, it sheds tiny vortexes off the edge of it. And because the front is actually acting as a wing, it's exactly what you don't want. We're quite particular sometimes. We hold a standard and you have to have a metal badge on the front of an Aston Martin.
So you won't just paint it on like Mercedes did on their AMG?
No paint, no stickers, we won't allow it. The badge is made out of stainless steel. It's 40 microns thick.
Is that less than a hair?
When you hold it in the hand, it's like you can't feel it. It's like less than a feather in your hand. It was a 99.3% weight save, and it's so thin it actually goes under the lacquer of the paint. So they're kept in the fridge before they go on the car because they're so fragile, and with the glue, they're kept in a fridge, and when you're ready to actually paint the car, they're brought out, placed on the car, and then the car's lacquered.
This attention to detail really just sums up this car.
Yeah.
Also sums up how kind of like anal you guys must be at Aston Martin, that all our cars have metal badges, and they will do regardless of it's just a DBX or a Formula One car for the road. Love it.
Absolutely.
I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, but finally, I'm sat in the driver's seat of the Aston Martin Valkyrie, and I'm going to start its naturally aspirated 6.5 litre V12. Let's do it. Oh my God. Let's go for a drive. What is it? Racing harnesses. It's got soft clothes. I'm going to do some laps, first of all, following behind the Formula One safety car driven by Darren Turner, who's Aston Martin's development driver. He's also won GT3 class at Le Mans 3 times. Oh my God, this is something else. It's loud in here and tight. Look, my head's hitting there. No customers have seats built for them, so they shouldn't have this problem. I'm basically sat on the floor. It's got a single clutch robotised manual gearbox with 7 speeds and it's pretty jolty. Bit like a Lamborghini Aventador. Wow, it's so responsive. And that engine just wants to rev up. Oh, it turns in so quick. I've almost forgotten the track. This is such a mad sensory experience. Whoa! Oh, the vibrations coming through my bottom are strangely pleasing. This engine just wants to rev. This is so beautiful. I've driven the Mercedes AMG1. This feels more like a racing car. Oh. And it feels light and nimble and agile. It weighs under 1.3 tons, and you can feel that when you're chucking it around. But what's really amazing is the downforce. At 100 miles an hour, you've got half a ton. Maximum downforce is like 1.1 tons. That's 160 miles an hour, and it just stays. I can't really let it out with it in front of me. So this is a perfect example of how the machine can make you better than the man. I could drive this fast around here, but Darren could drive that safety car. And believe me, Darren is infinitely better at driving than me. But that just goes to show you how capable this car is. Oh, press the EOS button then, and you feel the extra punch from the motor. Straighten up a bit, let's go for it. Oh! Yay! The DRS happening as well. This is insane. Now let's talk about the engine and the chassis, and I'm here with James Manners, who was in charge of it for this car. So James, tell me about this V12.
We've got a 6.5 litre V12 quad cam 48 valve naturally aspirated engine. Overall we've got 1155 PS, 1001 horsepower from the engine on its own, because we wanted to say we've got more than 1000 horsepower. The engine itself generates 780 Newton meters at 7000 RPM.
What does it rev to?
It revs all the way to 11,100 RPM. So peak power is at 10,600 RPM. So it's a P2 hybrid. So that means you've got engine with a twin plate clutch straight off of Formula One cut technology. And that goes to your E-motor, which is on your input shaft to the gearbox. We also do ERS boost. We do torque infill, because again we just want that throttle response that smooths out the curves from the ICE delivered torque. We also do first gear pull away, so because we've got that plate clutch to take all the horsepower and the torque of the engine, you've seen in other hypercars they can be quite lurchy at low speed.
Yeah, whereas this just smooth, isn't it?
Exactly.
I don't know what noise that was. I did it again though. I think I need to get my teeth fixed. Whistle between them. Anyway, so you're driving away in electric power alone from the motor, which has how much horsepower and how much torque?
So 280 Newton meters of torque,
yep.
160 horsepower.
So when you're first driving this car, your £2.5 million Aston Martin Valkyrie, you've got 160 horsepower.
That's it, yeah.
But not for very long.
No, not for very long. Well, with the 280 Newton meters, we spec the E-motor to be that size, because any bigger and you just spin the wheels with the E-motor alone.
How much torque in total?
924 Newton meters at 7,000 RPM.
I love the carbon fibre on there, but this is the air intake, isn't it?
It is indeed. So
there's something special about this.
We've got over 400 3D printed components in this car. First for Aston Martin to use a 3D printed part on its own, let alone multiple hundreds of times, and including sort of customer facing bits. Some of the vents on the inside are 3D printed.
So this element here
is 3D printed. And what
is this though? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Right.
This is weird. It's like
exactly. So that
elastic.
it's a hydrophobic film, because you've got the air scoop on the roof. When you're driving in the rain, we don't want the air ingesting the water. So The hydrophobic film stops the water coming through, which then runs down here and then runs down that drain tube in the middle. Even with that film, it can still ingest enough air to power a 6.5 litre V12 at 11,100 RPM.
That's incredible. So what is the top speed of this car?
So it's electronically limited to 355 kph.
Which is, in old money?
220 miles an hour.
And how about the convertible, the Spider?
Exactly the same.
Even with the roof off?
Even with the roof off, exactly.
Oh, wow, okay.
So we're not power limited, so even with the roof off, we are still
So it could go faster?
It could.
All right, I get it, okay. How many coupes will be built?
150.
And how many Spiders?
85.
And they're all gone?
And they're all
just asking for a friend, obviously.
Exactly.
Obviously, you've got all this power. You're going to need some good brakes. So let's move on to the brakes.
So carbon ceramic brakes, CCM brakes. We didn't go full carbon because it's a road car. We still wanted you to be able to stop at a set of traffic lights. So we wanted that low speed braking capability. You've got 420mm discs at the front with a 6-pot caliper. At the rear, we've got 385mm discs with 6-pot calipers.
And the tyres, these just look like, when I say normal, they're huge. They're Michelin Pilot's World Cup 2s.
Exactly, so you've got 20 inches on the front, 21 inches on the back, but again, we wanted an off-the-shelf tyre because ultimately this is a
You're going to get through some tyres, because I know if you have a Bugatti Chiron, they have bespoke tyres, and if you get a puncture or you need to replace the tyres, it's very expensive and can be a bit of a pain. Whereas this, less so.
Exactly.
So you can get a bunch of them, do your track day. When I say a track day, whoever buys this car rents the track for themselves.
Yep. Or has their own private track.
Or has their own private track, and then they don't need to worry about tyres. How about the suspension? Because I can see bits of it here. What kind of suspension setup have you got in this car?
Exactly.
It's not normal, is it?
Not normal in any way, shape or form. So we've got double wishbone suspension. If you ever look at the back, you'll see that the drive shaft actually goes through the middle of the lower wishbone.
He's very pleased about that. It's obviously a feat of engineering. So how does it all work?
It's a little bit of LMP1 technology, and we use torsion bar suspension.
So basically, a torsion bar, rather than a coil spring which you can press, you twist it.
Yep, okay.
So there's metal bars in there which get twisted by this element pushing on it.
Yep, okay.
But it's a bit more complicated than that with various elements.
Yeah, exactly. So push rod acts on what we call the passive rocker. So the passive rocker is what's connected to your damper, which is an active damper, just to make it confusing. The load then transfers through the torsion bar to what we call the active rocker. And on the active rocker is where we have the hydraulic actuator that is doing your anti-pitch, anti-squat, anti-dive, anti-heave, and full platform control.
Okay, so what that means is the car just stays dead level when you go through a corner. But isn't there something you've done to make it actually lean, even though it could stay dead flat?
We could run the car completely flat through the corners, but then that feels quite unnatural.
Normal drivers are used to cars pitching, rolling a bit, and you just wouldn't know what was going on so much with it.
No, exactly. So what we do is we actually put in what we call virtual stiffness. So the amount of virtual stiffness changes between urban and sport and track. So we actually induce roll, but with the hydraulic system to make the car feel more natural. And as you then progress to sport and then track, you get less and less and less body movement and a different ride height.
This car was first announced, when was it? 2016?
Yes.
And with 2023, some have been delivered to customers.
Yes.
That's quite a long time, isn't it? But it's just so, you must have loved doing this as an engineer. I mean, it must have been an absolute dream come true.
Yeah, it's a complete, especially for the career, it is just such a fantastic opportunity to just be able to go absolutely mad with an amazing piece of engineering history.
And to that end, there's something to do with titanium. You use quite a bit of titanium on this car. Isn't there a story relating to that?
At one point, we were using so much titanium that we actually put the price of titanium up globally. The MOD also called us because they said, well, last time someone was buying this much titanium was when they were making the SR-17 bomber.
So they thought you might be making a stealth bomber?
Yeah, exactly.
This interior, I mean, it's pretty stealthy, all this black, all the carbon fibre. These seats, I mean, they're barely seats.
Exactly. The seats weigh all of 8 kilograms. An S-Class seat could easily be 90 kilos.
What?
But the even more mad thing is when you compare it to the front wheels. So the front wheels, magnesium alloy, 8.5 kilos. So the seats weigh less than the wheels, which weigh less than the tyres.
So the chassis is obviously carbon fibre monocoque, and you see parts of it exposed here. And this is all structural, yeah?
It's all structural through this centre console, squeezed into that tiny space. Hydraulic lines, you've got high voltage lines, you've got your main cabin harness, you've got your AC lines and your brake lines.
And you've got USB. Where's the cup holders?
Well,
you have staff to hold you.
Exactly.
To hold your cup.
They're in the cabin.
You don't want them when you're hooting around a track, let's be honest.
No, exactly.
And the steering wheel, obviously removable. And
removable to help
the
you get in and
magnetic
out.
thing on them. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's a lovely clunk, isn't it?
That's a nice click.
It's lovely. All of the controls are on the steering wheel itself, so you've got everything from your indicators, your gear paddles, your ERS boost button, you change your ESP and your handling modes. Launch control, wiper controls, headlight controls are all done through there. And then first touchscreen for an Aston Martin, so all of your cabin control is done through the infotainment in the middle. Your main headlight switch is done in the middle as well as you do have internet radio and sat-nav.
Do you have air conditioning?
We do have air conditioning.
That is good, because obviously that adds weight. Are there any issues regarding noise regulations though?
Because of the year we had to release this, on paper it's the quietest Aston Martin on the outside.
What?
Believe it or not.
How?
Again, it's utilising the electric motor.
Oh, okay. Brilliant. So it's measured when you're driving along with the electric motor. Oh, I love that. That, for me, is the best problem solving that you have done on this car. Thank you very much for that.
No worries at all.
Brake up to 4G, it's just incredible. ERS, come on! Oh, sorry, kilometres an hour, I've got me carried away myself. Oh, wow. Whoa! Rotate, touch control. Find out what's happened. Oh, no, it's just got into neutral, it's lost its mind. I'm coasting in neutral. So the Aston Martin team are checking the car, they've got their laptop hooked up to it. They're probably going to find out that it's stopped because I was driving it too quickly, and it would have embarrassed Darren when he gets to drive it, you see. So it knew that it shouldn't go as quick as it did when I was driving, so it just went, nah, to the end, Matt, you're just getting too fast now. So I've now jumped into the passenger seat and Darren Turner is next to me. So Darren, have we fixed the car?
Yeah, basically you got a little bit carried away with the ERS button.
Yeah, it's wicked.
So it's good, but it's once a lap. It's like a DRS. So down the main straight, push the button, and I've looked at your data and you were like a PlayStation, pushing that button like 5 or 6 times a lap.
Yeah.
So all it does is it depletes the battery, and then it came to a stop. So effectively, when we go round now, I'll be doing it once on the main straight, get that power boost, and then using the normal engine 1,000 horsepower. That's more than enough for the lap.
Listen, no one told me that you can only press it once, and if I've got a button that can make it go quicker, I'm going to press it as many times as I possibly can.
Yeah, that was our bad. We should have given you the heads up on the ERS button.
Okay, so driver error, sorry about that. I'm glad I didn't break it because I can't afford to buy one. So what are we going to do now then?
We're going to do one flying lap, and then you'll see hopefully what the difference is of your lap with lots of button pushing and my lap with just one button.
Right, so we're actually going to analyse both our laps to see how I could make this go compared to how I actually did make it.
Well, let's see. I might look at the data and I'll be like, oh, that's how you drive it.
Maybe. I think so. Yeah, let's get on with it.
Right, let's fire it up.
I haven't broken it again, have I?
No. We need a bit more battery.
Right, because I basically flattened the battery completely with all the ERS. Okay.
It'll be fine.
All right, Darren, we've had the car on charge again. Put some more juice into it, and hopefully there'll be enough to start it this time. Unless I've really, really broken it. Please work. Oh, it's lit up. Yay, I didn't break it. Let's see how you're supposed to drive this thing. I'll tell you what's amazing that I didn't pick up on first. It's just how well it rides over bumps because it's got that active suspension. We're coming into the start finish line. Just go through. Right. That's what's letting it out. It's the DRS. It's 323 kilometres an hour. rotating and moving around. This should be with this corner. Whoa! The way this stops and turns while stopping is so impressive. It's going so much quicker through them and on. I can't wait to see the telemetry on this. See how much quicker it is than me. There we go, Rusty. And the final corner. Down the back straight. That was wicked. All right then, Darren, I've been out in the car and driven it, and we've got my telemetry data. You've been out, driven it, we've got your data. So tell me, how much quicker was I round the track than you?
A load, like fantastic amount. No, actually it was the other way around, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. You're going out in the car for the first time here at the Bahrain circuit, that's a lot to take on. So I was thinking maybe 12, 15 seconds, and it's actually only 8 seconds.
8 seconds, which is good round the Nordschleife if I'm that close to you.
It's good even here, like,
Okay.
you know.
Right.
And then you look through the data and it's like braking, you actually pulled more G than I did under braking, so you hit the pedal harder. It's just you did it earlier and then you bleed out, and mine was all a bit
Right.
more sort of towards the end of the straight. Cornering, I'd say your minimum speed through some of the corners maybe 10 to 12 kilometres an hour slower, but
Because I'm braking too soon.
and then just not carrying the speed. But that all comes from knowing the car, knowing what grip you've got, where the balance of the car is, and it's just more and more laps. So I think 8 seconds is a fairly good first shot at it.
I don't think there's any reflection on me, it's more the car. It was actually quite easy, and the visibility was a lot better than I thought it would be, so I could see all the reference points quite well. I reckon if you let me go in some more, I could probably get a few
8 seconds.
out of it.
8 seconds. Yeah.
No chance. No chance. I tell you, it'd be interesting though, how much quicker it is if you go out in the racing car. So let's try that. All right, Darren, so we've jumped into the AMR Pro now, haven't we?
Yes, so it's a completely different driving experience now. We're on slick tyres, still got 1,000 horsepower, but fixed aero and no active suspension, so it's a different ride altogether. You ready to do a couple of laps?
Before we do though, has it got a different chassis to the normal Valkyrie?
Yeah, so the carryover from the road-going Valkyrie is effectively the engine and the headlights.
And you don't have the electric motor then?
There's an electric motor in a different way. We pull away on an E-motor, and then as we go down the pit lane, we'll bump start the engine, and then we'll go on just the engine from that moment onwards. So effectively, the electric motor on this car is only for low-speed manoeuvrability.
So there's no ERS button for me to press a lot?
There's definitely no button.
I'd be
for
faster
you.
in this.
know.
I wouldn't break it.
It'd be fine. Yeah, there's no battery to discharge really quickly.
Okay, let's do it. Let's see if I
All
can
right.
hold on to all this kit. You might
Barney,
not get any
all right.
audio. We'll find out.
Just get it straight, bump start. There we go.
I thought the normal Valkyrie was loud, but this thing is just deafening. Oh yeah, cold tyres. They're only going to make it in very limited numbers. This is how many. It will show on the screen now. Whoa! Even that downforce. Picked it up now, it's going quickly. This is not very pleasant.
How was it?
I need to go to the toilet really urgently, like really quickly. Let's get me out of this. That one right-hander, the fast one.
Yeah.
I can feel my lungs stretching.
Yeah.
Let's get to the toilet as quick as we can. It's
Pass
an
us that.
emergency.
I'll hold it.
I hope I can get this race suit down quick enough.
There you go, bud.
Will I make it in time? Added jeopardy. Maybe it was the chicken last night. Bye-bye. Okay, Darren, you've been out in the racing car now. It was pretty traumatic for me. I've been to the toilets, everything's okay. I want to know how much quicker you are in the racing car compared to the road car around the track.
It's always a significant amount just because of the slick tyre. That's where the big difference is between the two cars.
So is it more or less than 8 seconds, the difference between me and you in the same car?
Right, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. It'd be about that sort of range.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So if I had the racing car, I'd be as fast as you in this.
Good, head to head.
I think I'll probably be slower in the racing car. Anyway, thank you very much for taking me out in it. Absolutely amazing. This car, oh my God, it's blown my mind. It's just so exhilarating, so intense, yet also quite easy to drive. I didn't think it would be. Yeah, I would definitely add this to my collection. It's in my dream garage, let's just say that.